It's time for today's face-off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face-off on Fox Soul starts right now.
Euthanized someone's pet squirrel, all because some people were envious of its fame. PNut the squirrel was rescued by Mark as a baby after its mother was hit by a car in New York City. He successfully nursed the squirrel, released it into the wild, but PNut returned to Mark's home the next day with his own injury. Mark decided to keep PNut, and for 7 years he lived on the animal sanctuary where 300 other animals lived. Mark shared videos of PNut online, which went viral, but a few people started submitting reports that Mark had unsafe housing of wildlife. So over 10 officers showed up to raid Mark's house, taking not only PNut, but Fred the raccoon, who Mark was also nursing. After that, officers said PNut bit one of them, which according to Mark, PNut has never done in his life. So the officers euthanized PNut and Fred so they could be checked for rabies. Cops euthanized someone's pet squirrel, all because some people were envious of its fame. PNut the squirrel was rescued by Mark as a baby after its mother.
In this round, here's Quan LX.
Charles, we just watched a story where the state of New York confiscated a man's exotic animals, PNut the squirrel and I think Fred the raccoon, and complaints had come into the state of New York. And, you know, the little agency that polices this situation, they show up with the goon squad, task force in hand, raid the man's house, I believe, for 5 hours, searched his home, questioned his wife, threatened his wife's immigration status, who's from Germany, and took PNut and took Fred the raccoon and executed both of them. And now white people all over America are crying, shedding crocodile tears.
Why are they crocodile? Why they gotta be crocodile tears?
Because high in the hill, they more concerned about PNut the squirrel dying and Fred the raccoon dying than black men and women dying in Chicago and Memphis every weekend in America. They ain't shed no tears for them. So why hell would I care about Fred the raccoon and PNut the squirrel dying? We got PNut in the hood dying every day, and we got Fred in the hood dying every day. Let's be more concerned about human beings that are dying. We got too much emphasis on the raccoon and the damn squirrel.
You're pretending.
But I'm just a squirrel in your world trying to get a nut.
Okay. I mean, look, you ain't getting a nut over here. I don't swing like that. But hey,
I don't mean like that. But
man.
Squirrels do like nuts.
Quan L on the download, that's perfectly good because I accept everybody, right?
I bet you do.
And let me tell you something. I got empathy for everybody, and this is frankly, when you talk about empathy is this is some commodity that is limited somehow. That's just a cop-out. Look, you talk about Chicago. Why is Chicago underwater in crime? Why are people not safe, especially law-abiding people of color in many big cities in this country? Because of liberal crime policies. You look out to California, that the citizens had to get a ballot initiative that's going to pass, I think it's 36 overwhelmingly, to make the cops and the DAs start enforcing the damn law again. New York's the same way. So New York, in Manhattan, they are downgrading robberies as long as they don't involve a gun. They could use a knife, a steel pipe, anything, to shoplifting, right? That was a day one policy for Alvin Bragg. But you go out there in the safe suburbs, then they spent 5 hours. If you've seen the videos of them trashing this man's home, 5 hours trashing his home, all because of, hey, and here's a news flash. You know why squirrels are so popular? Because they don't carry rabies. So why are we even talking about rabies? Raccoons do, but this raccoon was kept as a rescue, right? The man, Mark Longo, maintained a rescue, right? He used these two animals to generate income for his
With all those
animal
homeless
rescue.
people in New York, the best thing he could rescue was a raccoon.
Hey, you know what? You can't. Somebody who doesn't do much charity sure loves complaining about people that do.
We gonna rescue
Mark
squirrels.
Longo, he used that squirrel on TikTok, millions of followers. It's a beloved squirrel. Hey, here's the real news.
A beloved
It
squirrel.
was a white woman, allegedly. She shut down her social media. She apparently bragged about it before. It was a white woman, not named Karen, but should be named Karen, from Texas, from right here in Texas, who called and complained about the squirrel and then was bragging about how she was going to get that squirrel taken away. It's these environmental activists. Like, people love PETA. Oh, PETA's trying to,
But don't care about human beings dying every day in
PETA loves
America.
to euthanize pets. They love to. They
So
love
where's
killing
PETA now?
animals. Well, now they'd be all about it because they're all about the PETA doesn't want people caring for animals. Look, squirrels don't scare rabbits.
PNut has been executed.
The
PNut's been
Democrats
put to death. And we got innocent black men on death row
right.
being executed in America
Okay.
every several weeks.
Then that is
and there's no outcry.
Okay, first of all,
but
there
these
are-
sympathetic,
hold on.
empathetic white folks
There are not-
crying and shedding tears by the millions
not
for
innocent-
Fred the raccoon
there are not
and Peanut
innocent
the
people
squirrel.
being executed every several weeks, right? We have executed a
Man, look at Texas.
We have executed
Texas killing,
innocent
Texas
people in
killing
America,
men every several
but
weeks.
it's the exception, not the rule. But it is a good argument for doing
Only
away with
poor people
hold
are being
on.
executed, not rich
and
folks.
that is why we should do away with the death penalty, right? Because we don't have a perfect system, and when if you just lock them up for life, when you realize your mistake, you can at least fix it with money and release. You can't fix killing someone.
Well,
we're
why
not
they
talking
kill
about
Fred?
that. Why they kill Peanut?
Fred ain't bite nobody.
Why they kill
The
Peanut?
allegation was that Peanut bit somebody,
Peanut-
not Fred. Why
Look.
did he knock off Fred?
Look, Peanut, why is the government even worried about Peanut? Why is the government even in a state that is underwater? I'm going to New York later this week, a state that is underwater in crime, you know, because they corrected them crime numbers that they were lying to us about. But so you can search a man's house for 5
The
hours.
man should file
and
a
they
lawsuit.
Well, but there's not going to be much
He
there.
should file a lawsuit.
The government protects the government. What's the
They
value
were wrong
of
in
Peanut?
this case.
What's the value
Here's
of
the
raccoon?
value of Peanut.
Oh, so you feel
Peanut
bad
had
now.
millions of followers.
Okay.
That's a different value
so
system.
So now you feel bad for Peanut?
Hey, what?
You feel bad for Peanut?
Hell no, I ain't worried about Peanut like that. I'm more concerned about Peanut in the neighborhood. I'm more concerned about Peanut in South Central.
Why can't you be
Peanut
worried
in
about
Chicago, Peanut in Memphis,
Why can't
Peanut in Texas and Houston. I'm more concerned about Peanut in Dallas. No, damn Peanut the squirrel in New York.
Why can't you be worried about both, Quanell?
I ain't worried about Fred the raccoon either.
Okay.
Have you seen Fred in the hood?
Why can't you be worried about
Have you
Peanut?
seen crackhead Fred in Fifth Ward?
Peanut eating that
Have
acorn.
you seen crackhead
and
Fred in
Peanut,
Sunnyside?
Peanut on the south side.
I'm worried about
Why
I'm worried about Fred the crackhead breaking in grandmama's house.
Why aren't you worried about Shore Acres Fred in New York?
Man, look,
Fred,
I'm worried
the
about Acres
raccoon?
Home, Fred, that's breaking in folks' cars, knocking off people's
I'm
purses,
in Acres
stealing
Home.
people's antennas. All the hell with that. I'm more concerned about Fred in the neighborhood,
Why
man.
Fred got to be a criminal up in Acres Homes? And I'm in Acres.
That's
Shore
the
Acres,
Fred I'm
Shore
concerned
Acres
about.
to the suburban Nights on the Water community. I mean, why can't we be concerned about
Man,
a
I'm
boat?
not, man, look, you white folks
Peanut,
robbing
I
Fred
love
the
you,
raccoon.
Mark. I'm sorry the evil state killed your pets.
I dressed up like I work for Kamala's campaign, and now I'm gonna deliver immigrants to her supporters.
We are voting for you, don't worry.
Are you? Of course. We do have a surprise, if that's okay, just real fast. We're looking for a place for them to stay. They just came across. They'll sleep on floors. I mean, they're not picky, you know.
We have like a 2-year-old, so
Hector's good with kids.
sorry, we just can't.
Could they just like sleep on your lawn?
They need a place to stay. They just came across.
My teenagers live with me.
Oh, that's fine. Hector, he was dating a teenager like a little bit ago, so
Okay.
they just came across. They don't have papers. You're in support of like the whole border situation, and we're just trying to get them a floor to sleep on. Do you guys want COVID? They said they could survive it.
You really learn how to say her name.
We work with her, so we know how to say her name.
Earlier you said Kamala. The way she pronounces her name is Kamala. You don't work with her either.
See that car? We have 3 dudes who just came across the border. We're trying to find them a home.
Find them a home.
Just say I'm voting for Donald Trump without saying it, okay?
That's a wrong attitude, mister. I said my vote is private.
So you're voting Kamala?
No.
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
Now, I know these two guys were just trying to have fun, right? And it seemed a little politically incorrect, Quanell, but what an accurate indictment of toothless white liberalism, right? Of people that say, oh, it's horrible to have a controlled border. Oh, it's horrible to have policies. Oh, it's horrible to vet people coming to this country. But don't expect me to do nothing about it. Not in my backyard, not in my house, not in my neighborhood, right? Because the truth is, just like the law enforcement reform that is just abandonment of poor urban citizens, right? The thought process for holier than thou, wealthy white liberalism is, it's not my problem, right? So if we get to the point where, what do we think, 20 million came in during the Biden administration, some of them wonderful people coming here to grab at the brass ring of the American life, but also some of them with criminal histories, involved in gangs down there, involved in the cartel, sexual predators. Venezuela notoriously emptied out their prisons and pushed them up towards the United States. We're not vetting people from China, from the Middle East, but wealthy white people in wealthy white suburbs want to tell America that you're garbage if you support having a controlled border, but they also don't want to put any skin in the game and don't want to take any effort to actually provide. I think it's an example of what's wrong with America today.
Charles, there are many liberal Democrats who support allowing immigrants to come in and receive a safe, successful way to citizenship. But at the same time, they don't want them brought to the front door of their homes to say you can live here, but they do support resources from the government being allocated to them to find places for them to stay.
Just not in their neighborhood.
But here's what bothers me, brother. These were two real racist white boys.
I don't disagree.
These were real
Well,
racist
wait, hold on.
dudes.
I do
These were
disagree.
real racist
Why are they
white
racist?
boys, man? Because what they did, they most likely wouldn't found some immigrants who needed some work.
Well, you're assuming.
Promised them, let me say this, promised them a payday.
You're assuming.
To do some work, to put a shirt on, who couldn't speak English, who could not interpret what was being said about them or to them exactly. That was wrong, man. To make them into mascots like that to prove a point, a political point, tokens to prove a political point, that was real racist. That was
if
evil,
that's true,
and that was wrong.
But they could have been in on it.
But I will
you're
say
you're
this,
making a lot of assumptions.
and they could be in on it.
Right?
This is true. But
would it be okay if they were?
That'd be fine if they were in on it because it was all comedy.
So they
But
might be racist.
if they were not in on it, and they were like day laborers who were picked up just trying to get a payday to survive and eat on the streets of a city, wherever they're living, and these white guys took advantage of that, that's wrong.
So hold on.
But I will say this.
What if they gave
Charles,
them a payday and they understood what they were doing, and it's better than backbreaking labor?
That's wrong, brother. Let me say this. Don't turn them into tokens and mascots for a political point. But I will say this. To those who really support the immigration policy and you like the current status the way that it is, well, then you should be willing to open up your home. You should be willing to open up your property.
Your school district.
You should be willing to open up your school
private
district,
schools.
your community centers.
Right.
Because right now it's being forced on poor people.
That's my point.
See, the suburban people, the affluent people who support the Biden-Harris administration and their current immigration policy, they have no problem with it just so long as those immigrants are not being bused to their neighborhoods. And I've said on this very show, why is it these Republican governors who bust all those immigrants to Chicago and New York did not send them to white affluent neighborhoods? They sent them to the poor black neighborhoods.
No, that's not true.
What white affluent neighborhood?
Martha's Vineyard. You don't remember? You don't remember?
They did drop off in New York,
Hey, you
didn't
know
they?
what? Martha's Vineyard.
They did drop off in New York,
One of the
Martha's
wealthiest
Vineyard.
communities, not just in this country, but in the world.
You're right about
Plenty of
that, but they did go to New
resources,
York.
And filled, you know, that's where Obama has
But let me ask you a question.
his multi-million
But why
dollar
is it the
summer
next day
home.
they was gone?
They was gone. Well,
The next day they were gone.
faux white liberalism. It's nonsense, right? And I could criticize conservatism all day too. Like, I'm not one of those people that's saying conservatives good, liberals
But
bad.
the
I think they're both
thousands
awful.
that were brought in and bused by these Republican governors were bused to black neighborhoods
No,
in Chicago
they-
and New York.
Well, first of all, the reality
And
is,
Philadelphia.
if you look in Texas, and you for years, you might have changed your policy. We're like, they should be able to come up here
Those
to
are
Texas and take their
Mexicans
land
who are
back.
coming home.
Okay.
Those are Mexicans
But you
who
have
come home to California,
you have-
Texas,
you have
Arizona.
border healthcare systems, border school districts that are overwhelmed, right? Houston, its public services are overwhelmed. When you talk to policemen on the street, police officers on the street, and you talk about the amount of contacts they have with people that are illegally here for crime, those numbers are out of control.
It's election
right?
week. Who
Okay.
wins?
Who wins?
It's election week. Who wins?
I mean, you put me on the spot. This was not
It's election week. Who wins?
I think Kamala wins.
I think Kamala loses.
Well,
I think Kamala loses.
And I think this kind of stuff is why she might lose, right? Because it's all nonsense. It's all doublespeak, right? Kamala's just promising a list of stuff she's never going to deliver. But on the flip side, they've done
the two most important issues to all of the voters.
Trump says a bunch of stupid
But
stuff.
the two most important issues is not Roe versus Wade right now. The two most important issues
To a
is
lot of-
the economy and immigration, then Roe versus Wade.
Hold on. But to the rich white women or upper middle class white women we saw in this video, it is about reproductive rights.
And it's not about the
Right?
economy?
No, they're putting it ahead. And then the thing is, the media has done a very good job of doing everything they can to help Kamala, right? The whole thing about executing Liz Cheney. Very clearly, Donald Trump was talking about, if you're going to start wars, you should be the one in danger as well, right? He never said he was going to execute her. But that's all we heard last week was Trump said
both sides are demonizing the hell out of each other.
Right.
And
but
that's why the
the
American
Democrats
people, in my opinion, deserve better
The Democrats
than what we're
have
seeing
the media
on either
machine
side.
completely in the bag for them. Our journalism is dead, right? I think that we throw darts at both sides regularly. I don't like either
Because
party.
we're not controlled by either political
I
party.
don't think you like either party. But the reality is almost all legacy media is very liberal, and it's adopting this new illiberalism that is authoritarianism disguised as liberalism. At least with the conservative media, they wear it on their sleeves. Everybody knows.
I think Trump is going to flip Michigan and Georgia.
I think
and that's going to get him
Kamala
over the hump.
wins, but I do think it's neck and neck.
Hard work. We don't lack for good ideas, but we do lack for information about the help that is available. People want to build wealth.
Yes.
And intergenerational wealth.
Correct.
And I want to help people do that, right? I know what folks want to be able to take a nice vacation from time to time, have nice Christmas gifts for their kids under the tree.
Some blacks say the problem that they have to you is that you're making political promises and that you're just pandering. The problem that I have with that, it just seems like only black people pander. Like when other candidates go on shows and they say they're going to do this, they're not pandering. They're telling you, laying out their elaborate plan on what they're going to do. But it seems to you, when you promise that if I'm president, this is what I'm going to do in the first 90 days. This is what I'm going to do. My administration's going to do while I'm in office. You're pandering. How do you get through to those that says, look, this is what I'm going to do. If I'm elected president, these are the policies, and they will lead to meaningful and impactful change.
Sadly, misinformation out there about who I am and what I've done, because if people are informed about fact, they will know that almost everything that I'm talking about doing as president is built on a foundation of work that I've been doing for years. If you look,
Charles, we just watched a video clip of Kamala Harris, Vice President, who's running for president, on Shannon Sharp's club, Shay Shay. And I really admire Brother Shannon Sharp. I love his podcast. And I believe he's interviewed some very influential people, a lot of African Americans in particular. And he tends to shy away from what's politically correct and just speak straight words. But in this particular interview, I felt that Shannon Sharp did not press Kamala Harris on the real issues concerning about what she would do for black people. He brought up the issue about her pandering to the black vote. That's what she's accused of by going on that show, in particular black men, for so he has a large black male audience. But I felt he should have asked her, why is it we should believe that you're going to do all of this when you become president for the African American community, but you didn't push any of these agenda items the 4 years you were vice president, and you didn't hold the Biden administration accountable to do anything for black people for 4 years while you were the second person in command. So where is it you can show us that you fought for agenda items to help black people in particular, like you're saying you're going to do now if you become president?
Yeah, I mean, clearly Shannon was talking about pandering while pandering to Kamala Harris. Now, she is, I mean, it is a good point that not just I don't think African Americans, I think more women, same with Hillary Clinton, other women politicians, when they're aggressive, right, it is characterized one way as kind of a meanness. There's a word that rhymes with itch and starts with a B, right? Whereas when men do it, it's seen as strength, right? I think that is a valid criticism, not the point he was making. But she has created this incredible list of promises, right? She's going to legalize marijuana. She's going, when her general topics, people want to build intergenerational wealth. Right now, people just want to pay their damn grocery bill, Kamala, right? And I think she makes a lot of empty promises without plans. When you have people saying ugly things online, right? I get it a lot on my Instagram. Well, they say anything but Trump. Trump's going to ruin the world. Trump's going to, and I am not taking a position. I'm not supporting either of these candidates. But when I ask them about policies they support, they regurgitate the response. I support anyone but Trump. Yeah, but what policies? Because she cannot articulate how she is going to pay for all the stuff she's promising, because the truth is you're going to have to tax the lower class, the middle class, the upper middle class. You're going to have to tax wage earners, right, to give handouts to people that aren't working. And we have this growing bubble of people that aren't working, that are non-citizens, that come to this country, right, and also expect to be supported. And those are the people getting supported instead of Black America, instead of poor white America, instead of poor Latino America.
But what pisses me off about this is that why would she believe and be convinced by her team that legalizing marijuana is an important agenda item for Black men? That's pathetic, man. Now, if she would have said that I'm going to use the executive powers of my office to exonerate and pardon all of those Black men with petty marijuana convictions, that's a whole different story. If she had said that I'm going to use the power of my office to give tax breaks to those banks that give loans to African American men who want to open up marijuana dispensaries in California and across the country, that's a different ball game.
But she's not articulating policy. She's making these crazy promises. You see how in Michigan she was running pro-Palestine ads, in Pennsylvania she was running pro-Israel ads?
Now that's pandering.
That's awful.
That's it for the Face Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.